Yeah, oh, will it be a ×5? Not quite. Adatsy poo, Adatsy poo, is it time to unlock you? Damn it! Adatz, Adatz. 2 more pieces to go. Okay, gamers, rather than relying on getting anything higher than a ×1 drop, we don't need to, because now we have our final 2 pieces of Adatz to collect, and we are going to open 2 purple chests right now. So, yes, we didn't quite get any huge drops like no ×100s or anything like that, but there we have it. At 213 purple chests opened, we got 500 pieces of Adatz. So we would have made it anyway, and I missed a couple of resets knowing we were going to hit these 500 pieces anyway, but it's not often I get 500 pieces before I open the guaranteed chest, so that's nice, I guess. Only 7 difference, so it was more or less the same for me. But if we claim, there is our boy, Adatz. So the time change really screwed me over, making it so that I was missing at least 1 reset a day towards the end, but we just about managed to do it for this ancient board dragon with 2 days left to spare. So there really was not a lot of downtime possible in this event. I probably missed about, I would say, 3 days worth of resets in the whole event, which realistically isn't that much. Obviously, depends on what you deem as like super hard grind, but you know, if you play on PC and you don't have access to a remote device, it's just sometimes that's not possible. And I've been saying this for years, so I don't like the fact that the chests, the guaranteed chest requirement was increased again, because it's just going to mean that fewer people are going to get this dragon for no reason. Like, I'm not going to use Adatz anyway, it's just for the collection, but I think it was unnecessary, personally. Obviously, you can disagree. But now that we've gotten Adatz, there is no reason, really, for us to keep opening those purple chests, unless we want to go for, like, mats or something. But what we can do is, since I'm only on Chapter 19 of Double Trouble, we can just try and get Chapter 19 and 20 done. I've already got Punewin, so I don't care about that. But you can see that we've still got 20 tickets that we could get a hold of, although it's very unlikely, because if you can see, we're only at 4 out of 25 on Chapter 19 with 2 days left to go, so it's probably pretty unlikely we're going to get any bonus tickets. But, you know, that's why I didn't care so much about re-rolling this event. And, you know, if you're going to miss resets, your chances of getting Punewin before you get Adatz are very, very unlikely. I said this to people at the beginning of the event because it's been the case for pretty much every single Ancient event. And I think people just don't realize, because mainly the first few Double Trouble chapters, they're really, really easy to get through. I don't think people realize that, like, at Chapter 19, it's 25 doubles per chapter, and then they're like, hang on, I thought I was halfway through this event. Turns out, I was only, like, 1/5 of the way through. I think that catches a lot of players off guard, but this is the last version of this event, apparently. So I guess we don't really have to worry anymore about any of that. So that's great. I might reroll just to get a purple. No! I don't want to reroll the 5! Become trigger hungry. No! Doesn't matter. I didn't waste any currency. There we go. We got a couple of mats, but they're not very good quality mats, are they? Like, if we land on here again, what are we going to get out of this purple chest? Let's have a look. We got regular mats. They're terrible. Do we not get divine and ancient ones now? Or is it just very unlikely out of these? I don't know, that's terrible. I don't care about that. Anyway, that is board pretty much done for me, so I can ignore this part of the event. Thank goodness gracious me. So the only other thing that we actually have left to get is the other ancient altar dragon. So we've got Gunhilda in there, we've got our ancient sitting in there as well, Mr. Adeptipu. And then the other one that we need to get for the Neil collection is going to be Eamon. And at this point, we still have quite a bit of grinding to do. You can see we're at 800 Holy Talismans, which is, you know, it's not as many as I would have liked in theory, but at the same time, you know, that's what I get for not grinding dungeon and not being able to grind dungeon as much during the middle of the days. So, at this point, I have 1,000 gems still, and right now I am at over 1,250 KOs, which means that we do have the maximum fight bonus going on. So I am just going to be, probably today, grinding the dungeon, going absolutely ham with this. Because realistically, this is our last-ditch attempt today at getting all of this done. So I'm going to prep myself for lots and lots and lots of dungeon grinding, but the idea is going to be very much focusing on these tasks. So ideally, we would be doing this with only our ×2 or ×3 dragons at the start, so like saying these are ×2 dragon, for example. But for any of the weak like the weak quests, if we can get those done with Ambrosia without killing the enemies, like these first ones will die. But if we can do any of the other quests with Ambrosia without killing them, that's fine as well. But the idea is not to KO the enemies, it's simply to just do the quests, because again, there's no more benefit to us. Apart from a couple of extra points, there's no other benefit since we're at the max KO boost now. So that is going to be my Saturday. I don't know about yours, but, you know, we're going to have lots of fun dungeon grinding to do. Let's open 10. How's it going to look? ×5, you know what, that was okay. No bigger drops, but that is fine. That is fine. If we can get ×5s in our chests, and so far on this event, I've only opened up 800 chests, so it's not that many, all things considered. So I think it's been okay luck-wise, like pretty normal luck to maybe very slightly above average luck drops so far. So I'm not complaining this time, it could be worse, definitely. It's just, is Neil really worth all of this grinding and effort? Probably not, because I'm never going to use the dragon. But, you know, just in case, especially if the meta changes, maybe Neil will become the best dragon in the game, you never know. Unlikely, but, you know, we'll wait and see. Either way, this should be the time when you are finishing off all of your ancients that you need, because although we do have the catch-up dungeon coming out next week, do not rely on the catch-up dungeon. You can get things like Ikes in there, but it's not worth it. The catch-up dungeon has never, ever been good for getting dragons guaranteed. It's gonna be more dungeon grinding for a start, which, why would you want to do that? And secondly, it's unreliable, the drops and everything. You basically have to get to that purple chest and keep opening it and, you know, praying to Lord Ceremony, and usually you're not going to get anything that you need. So, there's that. Also, don't forget that there are a few tickets in the whale mart for this week, so make sure you pick them up in exchange for some food and some gold. The rest of the deals in here are not very good. Don't take the premium sigil chest, the other one is better. These tickets are not worth 199 gems. Especially considering that, like in my instance, each dungeon run I get about 2,000 stepping stones, which is one purple chest, which you can get this many tickets in one of those chests. So it's basically 35 gems worth, not 200. Obviously, it depends on how many stepping stones you get per dungeon run, but this is like incredibly overpriced. You would only be able to get any value out of that if you legitimately like I don't know, if you were getting like 600 or 500 stepping stones a run, and that was it. Otherwise, not a good idea. But, you know, I know that this dungeon week in particular has been quite difficult for some players because, you know, it is indeed a Burnout week, which means that we do have basically one set of dragons that is Burnout. Then we have like 1 or 2 plant dragons, and then we get more Burnout dragons. And I know that this really throws off a lot of people, and maybe they don't have the dragons to deal with it. But there are a couple of ways that you could have dealt with this, and I've been through it before. But just to reiterate, if you do know that a set of Burnout dragons are coming up, then the best thing I can suggest is just to not KO a lot of enemies at once. So don't use your AoE, for example. Because if you do that, you will end up spawning in 3 Burnout dragons at once. And then if all of them have Burnout, you are screwed. Whereas if instead you don't do that, and you say only spawn in, you know, 1 Burnout dragon that's like in a turn order where they can't attack you, then you're going to be in a much better position. I know that it's a lot easier to pull off if you've got, you know, Divines and Ancients, because then you've got Ancients with that attack boost and things like that that you can use. But you can still do it even if you've got Epic Dragons as well. It's just going to be a little bit more RNG and a little bit more difficult to pull off, generally speaking. I just thought that I would quickly showcase this for anyone that has ever been confused about it. Because, like, right now, whatever, we've got these plant dragons, we could really, try with these quests, but whatever, I'll do that later. So we're gonna get Joko in, he's gonna do another weak attack quest, for example, he's gonna die. And, I don't think we're gonna be able to avoid, one of our main dragons getting spawned in here, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna shield, they're probably gonna plant them. No, they're gonna fire them, okay, that's fine. But ideally you'd want at least one dragon that isn't one of your main dragons to be extra safe during this, but, you know, if you can't do that, then still pull it off usually. But we need to get these enemies killerinoed first, so we're gonna murder them. Then we're gonna have these dragons here that spawn in, which these are just earth and wind dragons, so we don't really care about these too much either. Andy can't really do that much. Beat him up, Andy. Beat him up. But I do know that what is coming up is going to be one of those dragons, as in one of those annoying dragons. So we're going to make sure that we don't actually kill off this tornado dragon fully. We don't really want to spawn in one of the other dragons yet. So I'm going to miss with Andy. Then what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we are blessed. Then we'll see if we can kill this guy down here, which we do. And then you'll see that the first of the burnout... Pardon my voice. The first of the Burnout dragons has spawned in, and we can see, check what the skill is, it's Power of Thunder. Okay, that's fine, we are safe in terms of that dragon there. So now we can attack the middle one, do the same thing, although I think they're going to die as well, which doesn't matter because they're not going to get a turn off, and then we can check these. He's got Burnout, for example. So realistically, it would be risky, but we'd want both of these dead. And then the second set of Burnout dragons going to potentially spawn in. What have we got? Power of Thunder. So then we can just fire all of them. They're all dead. All of those are gone skis. And so as you can see, now we have 3 dragons that we can actually deal with. And we're not going to die to their poison because it's very early on in the run. So there we go. That is how I deal with the first set, roughly speaking. That was nice and safe. But directly after these, we are going to get another set of Burnout dragons, which... we could try and do our weak attack quests, but it's probably not the smartest thing to do. If we want to be super safe, we would get our full setup going first, so a good bless and a good ancient buff going at the same time. So what we could actually do, we could just miss with Sani here. And then what we could do, we could make sure we bless up, then we put our ancient on by attacking this guy. And then we see what is going to spawn in after these. And then we're fully set up with our full, you know, bless ancient buff. And then we can start taking on the next set of annoying dragons one by one. So that's what you want to do realistically if you want to make sure that you're only taking on, say, one plant dragon or one burnout dragon or one shadow dragon or one void dragon at a time for any of these dungeon runs. But, you know, at the same time, we are going to... possibly have this dungeon not be part of the main meta anymore, as I keep repeating, so maybe we won't need to use these sort of dungeon strategies anymore, but I think they're probably going to be at least in some part of the meta, but we'll have to wait and see for more details realistically. We got another Burnout dragon, okay, we'll take him out individually, and then we should get, this is the last one out of the Burnout sets, and it doesn't have Burnout, so we are safe. So now we can actually start just using our dragons normally. Start going for quests and things like that. So there you go. Easily dealt with Burnout stuff. Obviously, it's easier to deal with it if you are further into your dungeon run with like higher KO boosts and things like that. But that is how you get through those Burnout sections, if you were ever confused as to what I was ever talking about. But I guess now's a good time to go through it since we are towards the end of the dungeon week and this is what I'm going to be using over today and possibly part of Sunday. Finish myself off. I don't care about him dying there. Actually, do I? Because they're going to get a turn off first. I guess we could go with Ben and see if they kill him. They're not going to kill him, but he has been subdued, which is a shame. Because I don't really care either way who gets spawned in there, whether it's Erlang Shen or him. Ideally, it would be Ikez for at least a couple of turns, but if it's Erlang Shen, that's fine as well, because then we can just grind out with some metal and stuff like that, but realistically it's usually better to get Ikez in so that we can do some multi-hit attack quests. So now we just need to make sure that our dragons don't die again. We're going to get the... we could even go without the ancient buff. I don't think we actually need it here. and then we can just grind out against these dragons. That's something that we can do. But, you know, there's a lot of different ways that you can do things based on your team and, you know, how your dungeon runs go in general. But generally speaking, from here, it's pretty chilled out for my team. The only problem comes in when the plant dragons come in. And that's when it becomes a little bit feisty at that point. But again, adding Ancient here will just make it easier for us to KO these dragons, which will give us a faster dungeon run, but we don't really need a faster dungeon run now. Before, if we were still getting KO bonuses, it would be somewhat viable, but we don't really need to do that. So rather than that, we are just going to go and get these weak attack quests done, and then if it's more of like defeating dragons with normal attacks, for instance, then that would be fine, but we don't really need to be doing that yet. So grind time it is. We are going to make sure that we bless again so that we don't die. And then once again, we're going to do our other weak attack. There we go. That one is done. And then defeat 2 dragons with a weak attack. Okay, now that's going to be difficult without us having the buff. So now we can buff our dragons. And then we can try and KO them, because I don't think we're going to be able to achieve that otherwise. And again, we can go boom. We're going to spawn in a new one. It's going to be a bugger. It's going to be bugger dragon. I don't actually like him because he's got plant, and plant dragons are icky. Plant dragons are sicky. But I don't remember, is the next one a plant dragon as well? It usually does use plant. What have we got? Dark ritual? That can be a problem as well if it ever uses it. I'm actually going to murder it. Well, we're going to get close to murdering it anyway. Usually it doesn't use void from my experience, but you'll see that we've got some plant dragons that keep spawning in here, so I'm not going to kill that guy because he's going to come back with rebirth. And can we murder you with our water? We can. So we can get that one done, check our next quest for example, but from here on out, those are 2 very, very nice quests. So we just need to make sure our Ikaz doesn't die here, which he's not going to. Lovely jubbly. Heal him up. And then we continue on our very long dungeon grinding, which we'll probably get to about 70 KOs easily at this point here. But that's just in general how my dungeon runs are going to be going over this weekend. So I hope this gave you a nice insight to my upcoming life. It's going to be very grind heavy. I'm probably going to need lots of energy drinks and Doritos on the way through. But I guess since this is technically supposed to be our last instance of this, I guess we should enjoy it to the fullest extent. But when I say enjoy, I mean enjoy the fact that we never have to do it again, potentially. That's going to be beautiful. You can literally hear the disdain in my voice when I talk about the dungeon in this game, can't you? It's just, I don't like it. It's been boring for years. I'm so happy it's coming to an end. But anyway, like I said, I will continue off with the rest of that grinding later on. You know, we can get at least 2,000 per run easily, but let's open up another purple chest. What do we get? Times 14. Lovely. That's what we want to see. At least times 14 in every chest would be absolutely spick and span. And obviously, anytime we get a times 50 out of these, that would also be absolutely fantastic. Maybe we'll get a dupe shadow metal if we get super lucky. Oh, there we go. A times 50 to say goodbye to. So that puts us up to 900, which means that we are only 600 away now. Isn't that lovely? So shouldn't take too long and we will get all of our hands on these ancient dragons. It has been, I guess my closing thoughts are that this event has been very mediocre. Not particularly interesting. Not particularly AIDS, but I don't like the fact that lots of the good things that happened in the previous ancient events got taken away. Again, like the guaranteed chest change and things like that. But it's coming to an end, so we will see you soon, Neil, and I hope the best for you as well if you're also doing your own grinding. So until next time, I do hope to see you then.